interwebs. This is Mike Mills with Verity Mortgage coming to you today with Mr. Conrad Jackson. This is going into my interview series or whatever the heck you want to call it, but I want to take time to meet different people, or, I already know Conrad, so I'm not meeting Conrad for the first time, but talk to people that are in the real estate business. Last time I talked to my buddy Cody, who ran a roofing company. We're going to talk today to Conrad about real estate investing. So Conrad is with, he's a realtor, and he works with the DeVries team with RE/MAX Pinnacle, and he's been doing it quite a while. I know he looks like a young guy, but he's actually been doing this a long time. And I wanted to talk to him today because one of the things that, Conrad and I talk on the phone quite a bit, and one of the things we discuss often is real estate investing. Not necessarily customers and clients and that kind of thing, but, properties that we're either looking at ourselves or land that we're looking at ourselves, and trying to get, bounce ideas off each other. I learned a lot from him because he's been doing it a lot longer than I have. And I kind of got into, we bought some properties recently and are starting to kind of move in that direction. And I figured this would be a great reason to sit down and talk with him for a few minutes and kind of find out a little bit about real estate investing, how he got into it, and all that kind of stuff. Now, we're going to start off with I always like to talk about people themselves. I want to find out a little bit about you, your family. I know all this stuff, but, for everybody who, the 6 people that might watch this. So I want to get them a little bit into with that. But ultimately, if you want to really find out a lot about investing and, some ways to go about it, how to get started in it, I really suggest you watch this whole thing because there's going to be a lot of great information for you. Conrad's a sharp guy, and I've learned a lot from him over the years. So I hope you guys can too. So, all right. With that said, Conrad, tell us a little bit about you. Before we get to the real estate stuff, tell me about you,
man. So once again, born in Arlington, Texas. So I'm a local product here. I went to Martin High School. So that was a long time ago. Apparently, 2003 is when we graduated. So I've got 3 beautiful children, beautiful wife. So family of 5. We live here in Mansfield, and have for now 3 years.
Okay.
Before that, we lived in Cedar Hill, and most of my life I've been in Arlington. So, known this area particularly very, very long. Born here, family's from Chicago. I was the only one in my family who was born in Texas. And then
I didn't know your whole family's from Chicago.
My whole family's
really?
from Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. Sister born there, parents born there. It's crazy. My parents are actually both from Chicago, right?
Okay. Yeah.
The geographic location of where they grew up was probably, 10 miles away.
Right.
And they met at the University of Iowa.
So they grew up 10 miles away from each other and met in a whole other state.
Crazy how stuff works, man. Small world. But yeah, so I'm from Texas.
So does that mean, I don't know if we've ever actually talked about this. We talk about the Cowboys all the time.
Yeah.
But so does that make you a Bulls fan or Mavs fan?
I grew up a Bulls fan.
Okay.
I really did.
Well, Jordan
was there.
Yeah.
I was a Bulls fan.
Yeah,
everybody's Bulls fan. Who's not a Jordan fan? You know, if you're not, I don't know what's wrong with your life.
Right.
But I was there. Championships. We would usually, a lot of times, we'd be in Chicago watching those games. With family and friends.
Right.
So I grew up a Bulls fan. And then of course the Mavs took over because I had a couple of cousins who were ball boys for the Mavericks. So
cool.
So we would go to a lot
So you got
of
in that mix quite a bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
In that, cousin right now who's actually, I believe, still a ball boy for the Mavericks. So it's crazy how this kind of works out. But so that's where my Mav ties come in. And then, of course, you live in the area, you got to root for the team. So
you grew up Jordan fan, obviously.
Absolutely.
As we all did, coming from that era.
Absolutely.
But my son and I, we talk about this from time to time because, the kids on the interwebs like to have arguments about who's better, the GOAT, right? Everybody's favorite word is the GOAT.
Of course.
Everybody knows GOATs these days. Now, I personally think there's not even a question, like it's not even close. No. But, when people start throwing out the LeBron and Jordan comparisons and who's the GOAT,
it's just, it's tough. It's tough because you got a whole generation of people who never saw Jordan play.
Right.
So ultimately I saw these games with my own eyes.
Yeah.
I've seen both.
Yes.
So seeing both, I defer to Jordan. He's the greatest of all time.
For sure.
Now, not to discount what LeBron's doing, what he's been doing, what he's going to
positions, different style of player.
Different ball players, different eras, but LeBron could definitely play in that era back in the day and still do exactly what he's doing now, but he didn't. So we got to give it to Jordan.
That's right. I agree with you on that quite a bit. I just, I want someone else's take on it because I don't know everything.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. Just so you know, one of my favorite people in your life is your wife. Okay, we have to take just a minute and talk about KK because she is the best. Okay, for a number of different reasons. The lasting image that I always have in my head, there was
I know where this is going.
It's like I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was Facebook. I don't remember. You can go back and look on there. I'm sure she has it on there. But she was pregnant.
Yeah.
Was it Chubbs or
that? She was pregnant with. Oh man, at that time we were still in Cedar Hills, so I'm pretty sure she was pregnant with Mello.
Okay, she's pregnant with Mello. And you know, the thing I love about KK is she has zero concerns about what anybody thinks. And so she was working out, you know, she's really into fitness and spends a lot of time and, you know, just pregnant as all can be, and just decided to film her workout session and a dance that went along with it. And it's like the minute I saw it, I was like, that chick is not afraid of anything. And
you know, people saw that. It's still one of those videos that goes around, gets talked about. But what you don't know is on the flip side of that, we actually went to the Mavericks game. Right?
Oh, okay.
Went to the Mavericks game around the same time. She's 100% pregnant.
Right.
And belly showing everywhere. Right? And somehow, some way, she gets on the Jumbotron dancing as pregnant lady with pregnant belly in front of everybody in the American Airlines arena. We had people at the game were texting us like, "You're at the game. We see your wife. She's dancing on the screen." I was like, "Oh, come on."
Was it just at the game or was it broadcast that way too?
I'm not sure because I wasn't watching it on TV, but I know it was on the Jumbo. Hey, if you see your pregnant wife dancing at the Jumbo,
that's amazing. That's awesome.
It'll change your life. I will tell you that.
I mean, you know, don't get me wrong, man. You're an impressive guy. You're awesome, but you certainly outkicked your coverage on that one, man. She's a trip. So, all right. So now we know a little bit about you, where you're from, what you've done, your family, and everything. So I want to talk a little bit about, you know, one of the things that Conrad and I do talk about a lot is not just necessarily, you know, real estate and even real estate investing, but businesses and entrepreneurship and, you know, how do you be your own boss? Like, what's the best ways to go about that, and what's the methods, and how do you learn, and all that kind of stuff. And Conrad's been not just in, you know, real estate and investing, but because you started in real estate really young, right?
Yeah, I started at 17 years old.
You're right, 17.
Yeah. So
and with the same group, same guy,
same team,
shout out
same
to
office,
Dave
DeVries with Remax Pinnacle. So I've been at that same office for I guess now 16, 17 years.
You're not a guy that bounces around very much.
I don't like change that much.
Right. I mean, keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple. Make life easy. So I started really young. I was able to learn the business that way.
Yeah.
And then kind of jump in both feet, not really scared of the market because I got in at the worst possible market in the history of
it wasn't exactly like everybody was clamoring to get into real estate.
Yeah. It wasn't really cool. We didn't have all the crazy TV shows where it made it sexy. Real estate was gritty, it was nasty, it was tough, and you had people who were losing lots of money. And I come in with this kid with no facial hair and try to convince people to let me to sell their home. Right. And while they have to lose money on it, and I get paid for it.
Like, should you be selling something, not selling a house?
Exactly. So those conversations were tough.
So, okay, so you didn't, but you know, you got started in real estate, you've been doing that the whole time. But just like me to some extent, we're both similar in this regard. Other things can distract you, or and distract's maybe the wrong word, but interest, right? You know, you gotta keep it varied up. So I want people to understand, you know, whenever you start businesses or whenever you get involved in things don't always go according to plan. And, you know, you don't get started into something and then you're perfect at it right out of the chute. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, let's say one day you want to go open a shoe store or whatever, and that's what you want to do and that's your business. Well, 20 years from there, you might be, you know, operating a multi-million-dollar real estate business. I don't know. You know, the lessons that you learn from starting businesses and failing carry on throughout. So tell us a little bit about some of the other businesses you've been involved in and how that played itself out.
Yeah, so outside of real estate, man, at one point, man, I ran an AAU organization, a nonprofit AAU organization, where we coach youth basketball, man. Youth
sports basketball. In general, I know a lot about that.
You know more than anybody how that can be dealing with parents and ambitious kids and coaching and getting people to show up. So myself and a partner started a organization called OTG Elite Sports.
Okay.
We had 10 youth basketball teams, 4 girls and 6 boys teams, ranging anywhere from 8 and under all the way up to seniors in high school. So we ran that organization. It was challenging because, growing up, I played basketball pretty much my whole life. So I knew the ins and outs. I knew how I was supposed to go. And even then, man, it was difficult getting people to trust you with their children, to put on a good program, getting coaches to sign up, getting people to sign up, getting people to pay you on time. We had many days where we were putting together, dollars that we had in our pocket to make sure that the kids had meals before the game or had a ride before and after practice. So that was trial and error. And, I went through that a lot, man. And we ended up shutting that business down just because I had a partner who we were on 2 different pages. Yeah. We had a great organization that we worked really hard day in and day out, Monday through Monday, trying to make sure we put on good tournaments, good training, teach kids who wanted an opportunity to play at a level after high school. We wanted to train them on how to do that. We wanted to train the parents on how to support the kids. And it was tough, man. We had plenty of parents who didn't trust us. We had kids who went to college and did things that their parents never thought that they would be able to do, that they never thought that they would be able to do. But what people didn't see was the work that we put in, promoting these kids, getting college coaches, begging college coaches to come to our game to watch this kid who they needed in their program, just to get them a scholarship. So it was about 3 years of really tough work. We did really good. We had a 95% senior sign rate.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. We had 2.
So that means that so the kids that went through your program, once they graduated from high school, they were signed to play somewhere. Right.
Whether it be
D1, D2,
D1, D2, D3, NAIA, whatever. We had kids who were signing. So we only had a few kids who actually did not sign. And of those kids who did not sign, there was a couple of them that chose not to play sports. It wasn't because they didn't have the opportunity, it's because they chose it. So what, going through that, what are some lessons you kind of learned that carried over to, what you're doing now and where you are today, where, if you hadn't experienced that, because, I kind of went through a similar thing. I had a couple restaurants with a business partner when I was young. I was 24, 25 years old. And, there's a joke out there. I don't necessarily subscribe to it, but it says, what's the only kind of ship that doesn't sail? And that's a partnership. But let's say I get a little louder. So.
But it's nothing. You go through life experiences and you learn things, and everything has a benefit to you. And I learned a ton. I joke with my wife all the time that I didn't get an MBA from SMU. I got an MBA from the restaurant, and it cost about the same. So, that's how it works. But so what are some stuff you took away from that really carry over? Yeah,
number one thing I would say is just having the right people, the right chemistry of people in your organization or in your business matters more than those person's qualifications to do the job. Right. So one of the things that we had a lot of trouble with was we would get former players, we would get former coaches, we would get big name people to come help us with our organization, and they were a terrible fit. They wouldn't,
they had a name, but they didn't have.
They had a name, but they may not have had the professionalism. They may not have had the ability to communicate and break it down to a level of parents or child age. These kids who are trying to figure out how to make themselves better on a daily basis. They understood what it took on a high level, but they may not necessarily been able to break it down to the everyday person, right? So, I had people in the organization who scored a lot of points in college athletics. I had the guy who led the nation in college athletics in 2008 in points, so it's just, I had plenty of people in the organization who could do a lot of things, but it just wasn't the right fit. And for that reason, I think the organization had to kind of dwindle down, and we had to kind of let it go because it started to become more of a burden than the gain and the joy that we experienced when we first started it.
So it's kind of a cliche, but really what you're saying is that the culture of your business matters.
Absolutely.
And the people that you hire and the people that you employ make a difference, right? They really impact everything. And I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in when I hire people to work in our branch and help us sell mortgages all day long.
Yeah.
That I don't care as much about how much they understand or what they know or what they don't know.
Right.
What I care about is how hard are they going to work, how much are they committed to it, and then, for me personally, I'm not a micromanaging type of person. I don't like to stand over someone's shoulder all day long and tell them what to do, and I need them to take initiative, and you want to grow people. You don't want to, employ somebody forever. You want to instill certain values, certain traits in your employees to help them grow and blossom, become something better than what they are, right?
Right. I mean, that's the entrepreneurial spirit. You want to help people get to a level above where they thought they could go.
Right.
You yourself personally want to get to a level above where you thought you could go. So that's just the nature of an entrepreneur. You want to see people succeed as you grow. Unfortunately, that's not always how it works.
Well, it takes trial and error, right?
But ultimately, it is what it is. Those are life lessons that you take, and that directly translated into our real estate business, where we grew our team, and we're still growing our team, and we do really well. But we are very selective about who we bring on.
Sure.
For that reason specifically, because we don't want the chemistry to affect the overall production.
Right.
And it starts with chemistry. We can teach anybody how to sell a home.
Right.
But we can't teach anybody how to be a good person or, have integrity or have morals.
Right. Work.
Yeah. Right. How to work,
Just to get up and go to work every day. That's a hard thing to do. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's actually a good transition. Looks like you've done this before.
Maybe it's
so now I want to talk about real estate. Okay. Now, obviously, Conrad is a realtor, and if you want to buy or sell your home, Conrad would be a great resource to do so.
ConradSellsDFW.com.
That's right. So please reach out to him if you're looking to buy or sell. We're in a market right now that is, we have appreciating home values. It's very tight. It's very hot.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of homes flying off. So he's a great resource. Please reach out to him for that. But that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about investing in real estate as an individual or as a business, depending on how you look at it.
Absolutely.
This is something that Conrad and I talk a lot about. He's done a great job with over the years, and I get a wealth of knowledge from him on ways to get going, ways to start out. So tell us a little bit about kind of what started you down the path. Obviously, being in real estate, is a big piece of that. But when you bought your first house, what that was like, and then kind of where you are now and where you've kind of grown that to.
Yeah. So ultimately, being in real estate since 2004, 2005, I helped a lot of people along the way, help them sell their home, or purchase a home, right? So I got to a point one day, and I think we were 2016, where I met a lady at her home to talk to her about selling her home.
Right.
Ultimately, she decided not to sell, but her husband had passed away, and he left her 11 properties, right? Which they used as rentals, right? Yeah. Some of them vacant, some of them were not. And so she said, I'm not gonna sell mine, I've changed my mind, but I'm gonna let you list my 11 rental properties.
That's a nice little windfall for an agent, right?
Exactly. So when we were going through to actually get everything prepared, and she was giving me the breakdown of what she was making on rents and what tenants were paying, what tenants weren't paying, the issues she was having, the success she was having, I started to sell them. And like any realtor, I put them on the MLS and I started to knock those suckers down. Right. And I got to about the third and fourth one that after they had sold, and I said, wait a minute, why am I not buying these? I know exactly how much money she's paying on these. I know exactly how much money she's making on these.
And rent and everything else.
Rent and profits and income. I know how much, tax depreciation she can take from them. So there's tax benefits from it. I mean, there's all sorts of great stuff that she was getting. She was at the point where she was just wanting to liquidate and retire and travel. But for me, somebody who's up and coming and trying to make sure that I could create wealth, I was thinking, there's gotta be a better way than me just selling these things to
once
make
you
money.
Sell, that's one transaction.
That's one, then it's gone. Once the money's gone, it's gone.
Right.
But once you purchase one, so that's what I did. That's what got my juices flowing.
Okay.
Right, and so I partnered.
Now, did you buy any of those properties?
I did not.
Okay, all right.
I did not.
You missed on the first round.
And to be completely transparent, when I tried to,
okay,
and that got me in the mode because I wasn't financially ready.
Gotcha. Okay.
I didn't have enough capital. Right. I didn't have the credit that was needed in order to get going. I didn't have the portfolio of, more assets than I had liabilities coming in. So I had some work to do on myself personally.
For sure.
And even though we were making good money, it takes something for that light bulb to come off or turn on. So that's what turned it on for me. I worked frantically at convincing my wife that this is what I wanted to do, which is a challenge in itself, just so you know.
Yeah, I know that one too. Yeah.
And I cleaned up a lot of our personal stuff that was holding us back from getting into position to try to invest. And so we did. That was actually 2015. So 2016 transitioning, that's when we bought our first rental. And I did have a partner with that. Okay. I used me and my partner, David. I bought my first rental with David, who I work with now in real estate. And we did a good job. We split everything 50-50. We found a property that was really run down in Fort Worth.
Wait, is that the one that was like purple?
That's the graffiti one.
I remember that. Yes. That was your first one?
That was my very first property.
Man, that doesn't seem like that long ago.
My very first rental, yeah. 2016 is when we purchased it, right?
Well, some partnerships do sell, right?
Yeah, that's a partnership.
David's a great guy.
David's awesome. He taught me the real estate business, so gratitude to him. We've grown a lot together, so. But yeah, that was my very first rental in Fort Worth, in East Fort Worth. We bought it because it was at the end of the street where the local university was, the soccer fields for the university. So in my mind, I thought, okay, this will run down house would be a great rental for college students.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was cheap. It was, I want to say at the time, I want to say we paid $33,000.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. It's like, wow, that's pretty good.
It was cheap.
It looked like a 33.
Yeah. I mean, first rental property. The lady had 22 cats. And they were still living in the property when we purchased it.
Yeah.
So we had to get 22 cats. It smelled horrible.
Right.
Everything was pretty much graffitied and spray painted.
Yeah, that was the part that stood out.
Yeah, the grass, the roof, the Jeep that was in the driveway. Everything was, graffitied and spray painted like crazy. Bathrooms, toilets, everything. It was insane. But
by the way, I'm gonna go find when we actually publish this. I'm gonna go grab some.
I got pictures. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I need you to send me those. We're gonna put those in here so that way everybody can see.
Oh yeah. So it was insane, man. And we came in. I had a vision of, okay, I'm gonna rent this thing out. I'm going to make it a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, rent it out for $800 a month.
Yep.
And then I'm going to move on to the next one. Because the mortgage on it, when we purchased it, we put 20% down, wasn't a lot of money. Me and my partner split it 50-50. I think we're out of pocket a whole grand, total of $6,000.
Okay.
Together, that's like $3,000 a piece.
Right.
And we put some money into it. I think we put like $25,000 into it right off the bat. But we learned some lessons along the way.
That's how it works. Nothing in life is free, including education.
Yeah. So I took a contractor over there when I was looking at it. My father-in-law, who owns a construction company, he's my builder, my contractor, and my business partner in another entity. And he saw it. He said, well, you know what? We're not going to do that. We're going to make this 2 separate apartments because the house had an addition. It was like 1,700 square feet.
Okay.
It had an addition.
Okay.
Right? The addition at the time we bought it was like the club, the drug part of the house where transaction and stuff going on. So you could obviously see that. But he said, no, we're going to split this off. The house had a common area in the middle. And so we said, we're going to make an entrance here. We're going to make an entrance in the front. We're going to turn it into a duplex and we'll get 2 rents out of it.
Okay.
And so that's what we did.
Okay.
That's what we did. So we fixed it up over the process of probably, about 12 months in total.
Right.
We rented the first side out really quickly, probably the first 3 or 4 months. And then after that, we finished the second side and got that thing rented out. So we were paying on the note, I want to say the note was $325 a month. And we were bringing in $925 a month per side.
Wow.
First duplex, first rental.
Wow. So that's too much success out of the gate, though. That's not realistic. So you're sitting there going, man, this thing's a breeze. I can do this all day long.
It was an experience in itself because it was in an area where it was, a lower income area. It was by the university. There was a big homeless population around. So we had our challenges with making sure our materials didn't get stolen and making sure that people showed up on time, making sure people who went there were safe. We had had a guy across the street who told me that he owned that house, 8 other houses on the block, and he buried a pot of gold in the backyard, and he would stay there and supervise the workers. So it was some challenges.
Yeah. So he was mentally well.
He had some mental things going on, but ultimately it was a great investment. It was a great deal. It was a good learning experience, and it catapulted us into our second rental property.
Okay.
So it was awesome.
So what are you into these days? Like what kind of, so that's how you got started.
That's how I got started.
So now realize this was 4 years ago.
This was 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
It was 4 years
Today, 4 years later.
So now we went from 2 properties to right now I believe we're at 21 properties.
Yep.
So yeah, we've had some success. We've leveraged some of the success that we had. That property, which we bought for, I want to say $33,000. I just sold that house this year, I think about 2 months ago, and we sold it for $155,000.
That's good. That's good.
So we had some fun. We've taken that and another property's proceeds, and we're gonna build a 16-unit apartment complex.
Wow. And
so
you have a couple other multi-units, right?
Yeah. I've got right now, I think we've got 3 duplexes. I've got a 10-unit small apartment complex.
Yeah.
The 16-unit will go next to the 10-unit. And then I just got the go-ahead and permit to build a triplex that I'm going to build from the ground up and then hold it to rent.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've moved into the construction side of it.
Absolutely.
Now. First it was buy, rehab.
Yeah. Correct.
Then it became construction. Okay.
Correct.
So here's the thing is, Conrad has taken, a start where he bought a single family home that was $30,000 and, looked horrible. Again, we'll show you
Really
pictures of this. And in 4 years, he has gone to 21 properties, several multi-units of that, building an apartment complex, and now going into construction. Right. Now, a lot of people see this and they'll be like, well, okay, but that's really, nobody can do that. And actually I said the same thing. Conrad and I talked about this, and he kind of told me where he was on a few things. And, one of the things that you told me was, it's amazing how once you start and once you get going, there's this, I don't know if you want to call it a snowball effect or a compounding effect, or you realize, maybe it's the fear, right? The fear of the debt and what you're taking on.
It is.
Starts to go away. So talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. From even growing up, I didn't grow up with silver spoon or anything like that.
Yeah.
We grew up, we had everything we needed. Our parents provided.
You weren't for naught, but
but we weren't rich.
Yeah.
I came out of college with a massive amount of student debt, that I'm still paying off to this day.
I know that feeling.
That my investment properties are paying off. Right. So ultimately there's challenges. And there's nothing special about me, right? Ultimately, I took an opportunity and I just asked a lot of questions, and a lot of people have the fear. They get what they call analysis paralysis. They analyze deals all day long when they want to get into investments, and then they never take any action.
Right.
And I just said, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. I'm going to take a stab at this. And people laughed at me. That house that we bought, that very first rental, we paid $9,000 over the asking price on that house. And agents and people were laughing at me when I bought that property. But I had a vision.
You made that up a little bit.
Yeah, they were taking my class afterwards. So ultimately, what I learned is just sometimes you just got to go for it. And it does take a lot of making good relationships, getting a good bank, or asking around what's a good bank to work with, who's a good lender to work with to try to get things done, and just you don't know everything. I didn't know everything. I've been in real estate for years, didn't know where to start with these investments. But
I don't know if it's obviously both you and I have been in real estate industry for a long time, and I don't think it's exclusive to real estate, but there is a lot of especially for like individuals that aren't agents and lenders out there that are watching this, there's a lot of agents that kind of walk around thinking they got everything figured out.
Absolutely.
Right? I've been doing this for 30 years. Trust me, I know what I'm saying. I know how this is going to work. There's this definitive, like they have the answers all the time. And I have found in my history that talking to people that will tell you, man, I don't know. Like I'm figuring this out. Like
absolutely,
I'm trying to get this worked out. I've tried this. We tried this. This didn't work. I don't have all the answers, but I'm working on it. Right? To me, those people tend to be the best ones to work with because there isn't this air of oh well, I've got the whole world figured out all the time, because nobody does. Like we're all figuring this stuff out.
Right. I mean, ultimately, even for our first deals, I went to the bank and I didn't know what questions to ask.
Right.
I just went to the bank. I sat down with the banker and I said, this is what I want to do. I want to purchase investment properties. This is what I think I can make.
Right.
I know what the values are because that part I've got down, but how much I'll need and cash and all that, I don't know.
Right.
Can you help me?
Right.
And the bank actually appreciated that. They didn't have all the answers either, but they started us
they had
off.
their section of the answers, right?
Yeah, and even then, like people think, okay, well, if one bank tells me no, then I'm done.
Right.
You know, I actually, in one point of our career, had a bank say, we can't help you. You've grown too much, right?
It's a good problem.
Yeah, but they also said, which is kind of unorthodox, he said, well, my friend is also a banker at a different bank.
Right.
And they do a lot more of what you're trying to do.
Right.
Here's his number. I've already called him for you.
Yeah.
So go ahead and call him and tell him, and maybe they can help you.
Yeah.
And then when I picked up the phone and called that person, he said, I'm ready to work.
Yes.
So what do you need?
Right.
You know, so it's not always having all your ducks in a row. Like I told you with that first property, I didn't have it together. I wasn't ready. When the houses that I was trying to purchase initially, I just wasn't financially ready. And even when we bought our first one, I don't even know if I was financially ready. They just liked me. So they took a chance on me. It panned out. We got something else going. It panned out. And then it just kind of catapulted into something I never thought was going to happen.
Well, and you said something too about relationships, right? And people,
absolutely.
and you know, in real estate, agents, lenders, our entire job is about relationships. I mean, it's who we meet, who we talk to. You know, you can't walk around and go, hey, you want to buy a house? Hey, you want to buy a house? Hey, you want to buy a house? I mean, you can, I guess, but the likelihood that you're going to get a lot of answers there. Sometimes that's how David started, knocking on doors.
Yeah, he did actually.
But
about that.
it happens. But you know, really, what you're doing is you're meeting people, you're creating relationships with people, you're leveraging those relationships, and you know, a lot of times people say leverage. Well, that means it is what is mutually beneficial. I mean, that's how you're friends, right? When you meet friends and you hang out with people, if you don't like to hang out with them, you're not going to hang out with them.
That's right. That's just
so it's no different in business. It's the same thing. So and I think people get scared because they look at, you know, the money involved, and they look at, you know, what, I don't know anything and I don't have the knowledge, and but we all started that way. Everybody starts that way. I mean, I'm working my way through it still, and I talk to you and bend your ear all the time because you've been through the fights and the battles, and you know what happens. And I actually saw something the other day. I don't remember if it was on Facebook or something where there was a video and the guy was talking to your kids, right?
Yeah.
And he said, you know, when you tell your kids, hey, don't put your hand on the stove or don't do this, you know, they don't listen. They are going to hurt themselves. They're going to find out on their own.
Yeah.
But he kind of put it a different way. He said, okay, imagine this. Imagine your parents, you're both going on vacation, right? And your parents leave before you do, and you're leaving with your sister on the way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so then your mom or dad get to wherever you're going, and they call you and they say, hey, when you're driving down I-9, you know, exit this road and go around. There's construction in the freeway, and make sure you get around that to get out front so you're not stuck there for 2.5 hours, right?
Yeah.
And when you get to this town, you know, eat at this restaurant. It's really good. We really enjoyed the food. The service was awesome. You know, you're just taking advice from someone who's already made the mistakes. Right? And why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's how you're able to grow. That's how most people grow, right? You know, and as a newer investor, you don't know what questions to ask in most cases,
right?
You know, so you need somebody who's going to guide you and navigate you around those costly mistakes, because every time you make a mistake, it's going to cost you money.
That's right.
You know, it's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you. You're going to have to sacrifice something. So you want to have those people in your corner that will help you along the way, right? You know, and ultimately, like an entrepreneur, like we said earlier, entrepreneurs want to see other entrepreneurs do well.
Absolutely.
We just do. It's just in our DNA to want to see other people, especially our friends and family and associates and people like that. We want to see them grow as we grow. Nobody wants to see them stay at the same level. Yeah. You know, so that's why we do, like for myself, when we do offer classes or seminars or whatever to try to help people out, you know, just give information. People ask me, how much you charging for this? I'm like, this is free. But when you buy the house or you sell the house, house, guess who you call?
Yeah, that's right.
That's my only requirement, you know. So
and that's there was one time, and I don't think I ever told you this, but Conrad, I call Conrad all the time. Hey, which properties, which ones are you getting into? What area are you looking at? How did you come up with your break even on what it was going to cost you versus your rents you were going to receive? All this stuff. And then my wife and I ended up buying a short-term rental on a lake that we were rehabbing and putting together. And that was really our first, we'd owned an investment property previously, but it was a house that we bought and we lived in, and then we kind of moved on to the next house and rented it out, and that was a whole thing. But this was our first kind of, we're gonna get after this, right? And you reached out to me and wanted to know about the short-term rental stuff. And how did you run? How does it manage? Who do you use for it and whatever? And I'm sitting here going, wait, why is he calling me? Like he knows way more about this stuff than I do. But the reality of it is that's that way your brain works, and it's the way my brain works. Is like, look, I mean, there are certain things that I know a lot about. I know a lot about finances and interest rates, and I'm getting to learn a lot about cryptocurrencies and all that kind of stuff that I'm really
teaching me.
Right, I'm filling my brain with, right? But I can't know everything, right? And that's why you need a good group of people around you, a good support. It's what is it that you're the product of the 5 people that you associate with the most, right?
5 people. Yeah, that's right.
So if you want to start moving in that direction of, whether it's real estate or anything, you gotta surround yourself with people that know or have been down that road and have experience and have gone through these things. Because if you don't, then if you're the smartest guy in the room, you are in the wrong room.
Absolutely, find another room. Absolutely, we always say that. We're always challenging ourselves. It's almost to a fault where you're like, hey man, I've gotten to a point where I've done really good. All right, now let me try and take on this new challenge. Yes. Just to kind of keep those creative juices flowing.
That's how you grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And growth is uncomfortable. It's not going to be something that you're going to be able to sit at home, do every once in a while, and make a killing on just because it takes work. This is a business, and that's what people tend to miss. They think that you can do it passively from day one, and you have to grow into a spot to where you can do it passively.
And it doesn't mean you have to risk everything. It doesn't. It's all relative, right? So I just have this example because I've been doing it recently. But a couple of years ago, I got involved in the cryptocurrencies, and I started looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these different things. And it sounded crazy, and it's like this flash in the pan weird thing that was occurring. But I had to find out more about it. I had to read about it. I had to learn about it. I had to spend time. Now, when I did that, I didn't go in and put my entire life savings into Bitcoin because that's ridiculous. That's not a smart thing to do. But what I did was the first transaction I did with Bitcoin was for $100. I put $100. I opened a Coinbase account, put $100 in there, and all that did was draw my attention to that subject because now I have some sort of investment, right? It's not where I can't sleep at night because I'm worried about feeding my family because I put all my money into this thing. But I started in small steps, and that grew my base of knowledge. That grew what I understand. That made me crave more information because once I learned a little, then I was like, oh wow, this is really something that could matter. And then in that particular space, because there's so few people, that are into it, that leaves such a range of opportunities available. So on that, what I want to ask you is, so if somebody's looking to get into investing, right? They're looking to invest in real estate, but they're sitting here watching this go, well, I don't have $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 to do all this stuff.
I didn't either when I started.
Right. So what would you tell, young Conrad, or what would you tell your son, or what would you tell anybody that's just, I want to start in this, but I don't know what to do. Like, give me a couple, starting points.
Easiest way is to first make a plan of what it is that you want to do, because there's different ways to invest in real estate, and just some of the most popular ones are you can have rental property, you can flip houses, or you can even wholesale properties. And I don't want to go too crazy into what all of those are, but those are 3 different types of ways that you can start out investing into real estate. Okay. What I tell people who ask me this question a lot is, there's pretty much what they call the deal delta, right? Okay. You've got one of 3 things. If you've got one of those 3 things, and you have 2 of the other sides of the delta, because there's 3 sides of the triangle. There's either money, there's education, or there's a deal. Right?
Okay.
So if you can offer somebody one of those things that has the other two, you can create that deal and get your education. So you'll partner with somebody, right, that maybe is into real estate investing, and maybe you have the money and they don't have the money, but they have the experience, the education, and they have a deal that they can do. And you can partner in your first time, or vice versa. You don't have any money, but somebody else does, and they have some experience, but you have a house that you know needs to be sold or could be purchased. Okay, well, bring that deal, and as you bring that deal, partner with that person and just try to learn along the way. And when you partner with somebody, you don't partner with them and just let them do everything, right? You ask questions and you provide some type of value to that whole partnership. You may not know what to do, but you can go get a lockbox off the door. You can go ask some questions, or you can run some numbers. You can do something that adds value, that takes time off of that person's plate who's a little bit more experienced, or the person that you're partnering with. That's the easiest way, I think, to get in, especially with low or no money. You partner with somebody. You add value. You can be the person who adds value, and as you do that deal and it goes successful, you learn. And those lessons that you learn on those first few deals, man, they stick with you for a lifetime.
So just because you don't make money on those deals doesn't mean you didn't get a benefit.
That's right.
Even if you lose money.
Even if you lose money, you've learned lessons on investing and what not to do on the next deal.
I mean, if you're going to pay $100,000 for college, right? You're going to go to TCU or SMU and pay all this money. You're getting something in return. You're getting an education, right? You're getting a network of people. You're meeting people. That's what you're paying for. It's the same thing. It's not any different. The difference is just how you look at it. Because if you can go out and find a property, you have somebody that, maybe reach out to Conrad and say, hey, Conrad, I found this deal, but I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I know this is a great property and I know why.
Absolutely. We, as investors, we always are looking for opportunities, right? My goal when I started investing was to buy 2 properties a year for the first 5 years. To get to 10 properties.
Kind of exceeded that one a little bit.
And that's when I talk to other investors. Not everybody has a goal to get 1,000 units, 100 units. Some people just want 1 or 2, just to give them a little bit of cushion, or give them the ability to buy that car that they wanted, or do something in life that allows them to do it passively, right? And so that's what people, when they hear us talk, hear people like myself talk, they think, oh, well, I'm not trying to get 100 properties. I don't want to do all that. Maybe you just want to do one. These same tools and the same tips apply to help you get the 1 or the 2 or the 3.
So we're in a market right now that's pretty it's pretty robust. There's a lot of high priced homes that are out there. There's not, from the average person looking at it, there's not a ton of deals that are out there. But what would you say to somebody that say to you, Conrad, I really want to do this, but I probably should wait another year or wait another 6 months, or this isn't something I'm ready for yet because I think the market's too high and all this kind of stuff. What would you say to somebody that said that?
I would say no better time than the present to jump in. As we've seen, prices are going up, interest rates are going to go up, inflation is going up. When the market was terrible in 2008, and 2007, 2009, and people were bringing money to sell their home, people were still doing deals.
Yes.
So here we are, where the market's probably the best we've ever seen in our area, and people are still doing deals. You just adjust and adapt to the current climate of the market, I, on a daily basis right now, get emailed probably 40 homes a day off market that are in my bracket or criteria of what I would buy. 40 a day that are sent to me. And it's not just because I've been doing it for forever. I just get on these lists. I get my name out there as far as wondering, calling certain people, calling the signs that are on the side of the road that say we buy ugly houses, knowing that they sell houses as well, and saying, hey, if you get something, can you send it to me? Do you have anything you're trying to get rid of? Just it really just takes thinking outside the box. It's not rocket science.
Right.
You know, we have Facebook and Craigslist at our, you know, fingertips every single day.
Craigslist, that's a callback. I don't know. Is somebody still using Craigslist out there?
People are using it.
You're showing your age.
I've legit bought houses recently on Craigslist. Off Craigslist.
Yes. Okay, you need to get murdered showing up.
I didn't get murdered. I didn't get, you know, I didn't make a TV show about me or anything like that.
Right.
But, I mean, it's just really just understanding I have a goal and I'll do what it takes.
Yeah.
I'll do what it takes to get to that goal. If that means I've called 5 people and those 5 people don't have what I need, they're probably gonna call 5 more.
Right.
Just to get what I want.
Yeah, I think, you know, everybody's always looking for the quick fix, right?
Absolutely.
The how do I get from point A to point Z as fast as possible?
Absolutely.
And I don't know, or at least I haven't, I'm sure there is examples, but I haven't experienced myself or seen many that I would consider truly to be either successful or a strong company or whatever you want to call it that happened overnight.
Absolutely.
You know, everything is a slow growth. There's pain all the way through.
Absolutely.
You're going to learn lessons. And like you said earlier, every lesson has a price, right? Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's pain, but that's how you grow. That's how you get better.
Yeah.
That's how you move in the direction that you're trying to get to. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's just not.
It's just not. It's a grind. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Right. And anybody that you talk to that's been doing it for a while, or even if they're just starting, they'll probably tell you the same thing. You know, we did really well on our first investment, but that investment was sold over the course of 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, so of course of that first year, we had materials stolen and we had plenty of times where materials weren't stolen that probably should have been stolen because of our carelessness, you know? So it's not all good, it's not all bad, but there are certain things that you have to account for. And knowing what I know now, I go back and do it again.
Yeah.
And again and again and again.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, it worked.
Yeah.
And all we had to do was just take action.
Right.
We had to try.
You have to go do it, right?
Yeah.
You just what is it?
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's right. That's right. You have to get out there and do it. You know, you have to try. You have to get up every day.
Yeah.
It is a grind. It's not easy. It isn't a quick fix. There's no magic pill.
Sure.
You gotta go.
Yeah.
So, this is all great stuff. I want to let everybody know Conrad actually does do, he was talking earlier about classes and seminars. He does this kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And he really enjoys it, which is, you know, one of the reasons I love talking to you all the time because I learn a ton of stuff from you.
Sure.
You have a great heart, you have a great mind, and it's very rare to find people like that that are really that truly want to help you out, not just, you know, figure out how to make a quick buck or do it. They are actually trying to help you. And, you know, it's I don't know if it's the golden rule or platinum rule or whatever they want to call it these days, but you know, if you put out into the world all the things, all the good energy that you want to you know, help people and be available and be a resource, that stuff comes back to you tenfold, man.
Absolutely.
It really does.
I'm a big proponent of treating people right. You
Yeah.
know, it's how I was raised. You know, ultimately, I know how it feels when you're looking for answers and you can't find them and people won't help you. And I didn't never want to be that person.
Right.
You know, so ultimately, any opportunity that I get, I do try to help. You know, especially, you know, people who are really interested and excited about it as I am. Well, yeah, that's what keeps me up at night. That's what gives my creative juices flowing. So I'm gonna do everything that I can, man. And yes, we do some classes and stuff from time to time.
So how would someone reach out and figure out how to get hold of you there?
Ultimately, ConradSellsDFW.com is the best way to reach me. I am on Facebook, but it's just my name, Conrad Jackson, and Instagram, Conrad Jr.
Figuring out all the socials?
Yeah, all the socials. I'm trying to think. Is there anything I'm missing?
TikTok?
I'm
You on TikTok?
I'm not on
yet?
TikTok. I'm
figuring out TikTok. I'm not dancing on TikTok.
Yeah,
but,
I'm not that great yet. I'm not there. Twitter I have, but I've never looked at.
Yeah, we're not important enough to be on Twitter. Yeah.
You know, I don't really think people care about what I have to
angry.
say. They just want to look at the pictures of what I do. So
Right.
Instagram and Facebook. You know,
Okay.
that's the best two ways. If you're not going to the website, ConradSellsDFW.com, that comes directly to my phone, and then you can message me on there, and that'll definitely help me get in touch with you.
Well, I'm telling you right now, again, from personal experience, and you know, this is the second time I've done one of these, and I'm starting with all my friends and all the people that I really value their friendship and look at them and say, man, I learned so much from Conrad, and he's helped me so much over the years, and my wife too. You know, she's a realtor, and she worked on your team to start with, and David and Conrad helped her, you know, grow into what she is today, and
Awesome.
I can't thank you guys enough for that because I truly value our relationship.
Absolutely.
And it means a ton to me. Now,
Me too.
okay, so then the last part I want to do is I always like to have, you know, my people here, tell me a little bit about some funny stories about real estate, because we all have our little anecdotes that we share with everyone from time to time. So give me one, a PG one, so we can make sure everybody can watch this. But
so yeah, man, there's always stuff. You learn to look back. It may not be funny at the time, but you do learn to look back over time at some of the occurrences that happen when you're doing real estate investing, and you can't do anything but laugh. You just shake your head and laugh. But I guess the second rental property that we ever purchased was in a similar area. It was in maybe a tougher area, East Fort Worth, and the house had been vacant for a very long time when we bought it, right? So when we bought it, there was a homeless person who was actually sleeping on the porch.
Okay.
Right? And so when we took the property over, we would allow him to stay on the porch because we weren't going to work on it.
Right.
We're
not there yet.
Yeah,
so
we're not there yet. So just make sure nobody breaks in.
Right.
And don't break in yourself.
You got a house with a mascot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he was a very nice guy. He we give him some funds every once in a while, just kind of keep eyes on the place, right? And so we had a couple of occurrences with this particular person, right? So the first occurrence at this house was myself and my father-in-law worked really closely on this project. He was my builder, my construction guy, so he was my rehabber. Yeah. So he called me one night, and it's probably about 11 o'clock, and he said, "Hey, man, are you at the property?" And now this is in I want to say this was probably like in the winter time.
Okay.
So really cold outside.
Right.
So he calls me, said, "Man, you at the property?" I said, "Man, why would I be at that property this time of night? Like, come on." So he said, I just got a call from the neighbor across the street, and she wanted to know, if we were the ones who had the fire going on at the house.
Right.
And so immediately I'm like, oh my God, no, not a fire. So come to find out,
that's never what you want to hear.
The person who was on the porch had gotten cold.
Well, what do you do?
In the wintertime, you get cold and sleeping on the porch. Right. So he had found his way inside the house, which was a vacant house, and it was torn up on the inside. It wasn't like he was damaging much other than fire. Right. They had gotten a small barrel, him and his girlfriend, and they lit a fire in the hallway to keep warm.
What do you do when you're cold, right? You start a fire.
Buy insurance on every property. Day one, when you purchase property, you purchase real estate, make sure you get insurance.
Yeah, see, there's even a lesson to your story.
Lesson.
I love it.
Double locks and insurance, definitely. So yeah, that was instance number one at this particular house. We ultimately were able to get to the house. The neighbor was one who went over and said, "Hey, you guys can't do that in here. We put the fire out." Yeah. It was only a small smoke hole at the top, so we were able to fix it low cost. No harm, no foul, right? The second occurrence at this house was when we actually got it ready to lease. I leased this property. Now, couple of numbers. We brought this property, I want to say $39,000. I had a mortgage on it of $375 a month. I leased that sucker out for $1,175 a month, right? So we did pretty good on it.
Pretty solid.
Awesome. So I've got a property manager. My property manager's found this wonderful tenant who has 2 businesses, makes great income from the neighborhood, excited about the place. Yeah. So we sign a lease, boom, we're great, okay? So we get him moved in, right? Now, like I said, the person who was sleeping on the porch at this point of the timeline of the house had not been to the house for probably about 3 months.
Okay, so he visited in a while.
So he hadn't been there.
Okay.
His stuff was there, but he was gone.
Oh, he still had stuff there.
We had like a blanket or something that he would keep out on the porch, right? So he had been gone and he was a nice sized guy, right? Very harmless if you met him, but nice guy, right? And so day one of the new tenant moving into the property manager calls me that evening, right? Apparently, my guy who was living on the porch hadn't moved. He just went to jail. And he got let out of jail the day the tenant moves in.
Nice.
So my property manager is calling me with the tenant on the line, also saying, "Get this guy off my porch. I've got a gun and I'm about to blow his brains out."
Yeah, I'm sure it didn't go well. Yeah.
On the other end of the phone, I could also hear the guy who sleeps on the porch saying, "I'm allowed to be here. I know the owners. This is my place too."
You didn't have a joint lease with him as well? They didn't know. Okay.
You can't make this stuff up.
Oh, man.
It's the crazy occurrence. Ultimately, we did get the person who was on the porch, let him know he was no longer able to stay there. The tenant was still okay. He was just happy that the person was no longer there. Yeah. Nobody was hurt in this whole scenario.
His
thank
joint
goodness.
tenant. Right. Wow.
I only lost a couple of hairs at the top of my head, but it all turned out well.
Oh, that's crazy, man. Especially because it's the same house. He lit the fire.
Same house.
He's like, this is my place.
He's like, this is my place.
We're going to share. This is welcome. I'm on the porch. You're inside. That's how this works.
I'm glad to be living here with you. You know,
that's
how he thought. So, yeah, that was a house that, you know, was amazing. It had some fun stories.
I'm sure.
I have plenty more than that, but, you know, we don't have enough tape for that.
No, that's awesome. Well, again, man, I really, really appreciate you stopping by, taking some time out of your day. I know you're a busy guy. So if you guys have any questions, want to reach out to Conrad, ConradSellsDFW.com. That's how you're going to get in touch with him. He's a wealth of knowledge. And, of course, if you're looking to buy or sell, he's had a ton of experience. He's been in the market for a really long time. And especially when you're talking about investment properties or you're looking to go buy something and you need an experienced agent that has been through it himself, this is the guy. So thanks again, man. Really appreciate you.
Pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
And I'll tell you about the short-term stuff and how that's going.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.